What is up, everybody? Welcome to Birds of the Round Table. David is flying home from Tampa Bay. Shane will be joining us in a little bit. So it's just me and Ryan for now. But Ryan Reese, the man, the myth, the legend of Philly Sports Alliance at Philly Sports PSA on Twitter or X. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much, man. I'm loving life. We're 3-0. Some people are going to want to nitpick and complain about everything. I'm happy being 3-0. It's all that matters.
Me too, man. Like what we're seeing with this Eagles on offense, they're improving, but they're winning the way I want them to win, which is in the trenches, the offensive line, the defensive line. We're going to break it all down. Guys, if you're watching us, please be sure to comment your thoughts on last night's game and this upcoming matchup with the Washington Commanders. We're going to just kind of deep dive quickly into our top takeaways versus the Bucs. Let's lead off with Shane's takeaway, and we'll go from there.
My big takeaway from the Eagles' victory over the Buccaneers last night on Monday Night Football is just how good this rushing attack is. Even if the offense isn't firing on all cylinders in the passing game, you can always count on the run game. DeAndre Swift had 130 yards on 16 carries last night. He now has 308 yards on the season, all of which came in the last two games, and he's averaging 6.84 yards per attempt. He has an outstanding 67% success rate that would rank first by a mile last season. Josh Jacobs had the best success rate on the ground last year in the NFL at 47%. DeAndre Swift is at 67%. Even if you include quarterbacks whose success rates are elevated because they get to pick and choose when they run, he would still be first in the league over Josh Allen's league best 62%. And this is including a game against a run defense featuring Vita Vea, against a team in the Buccaneers who stacks the box and runs base 3-4 among the highest rates in the league. The Buccaneers were 4th in rushing EPA and 12th in rushing success rate coming into last night. And even though the passing offense, it's gotten better over the games, even though it's not fully clicking on all cylinders, it still has to be respected. When you have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, you have to respect it enough. It takes enough guys out of the box that DeAndre Swift, with his vision, with his explosiveness, is able to run wild. This rushing attack is going to be able to carry this team in games where the passing offense is just off just a hair.
All right, that was Shane's big takeaway. He sent it to us because he's running late. But any quick thoughts, reactions to that? Just talking about the Eagles' elite rushing attack.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he hit a lot of great points, but you're absolutely right. It's Swift is absolutely built for this offense and this offensive line. I mean, listen, I know we all kind of make jokes about like, oh my God, did you see the size of that hole? Like you could have driven an 18-wheeler through it. You or I could have gotten, 5 yards. It's probably true, honestly. Like some of those holes were absolutely ginormous. And Swift is I think he's the perfect runner for this offensive line because athletic, it's quick. Those holes don't always need to be, mile wide. They can just be like that, and they can just come up. And he's got that quick twitch to really just hit them. And you obviously 2 games we've been using him basically. Let's be honest. And he has over 300 yards, 175 and 130 on the ground. I don't know about you, but I'll take that. 130. I'll take 130 every week. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, we all thought, listen, Miles Sanders had such a great season last year. He finally put it together. 1,300 yards, got in the end zone a bunch. And listen, I thought it would be kind of a hard thing to replicate or get close to. Now, after 2 games, if they keep on Swift, I don't see how Swift doesn't smash 1,300 yards.
Yeah, I agree. People are kind of upset that Gainwell got a bulk of the carries in the second half. I'm not at all. Like, it's a long season. It is September. Keep DeAndre Swift healthy. I'm sure we'll see Penny inserted at some point. They're going to just keep this thing balanced as we chug along here. Davey says we're beginning to purr. Gary says, thank you for moving on to the Commanders. I'm ready for the next victim. Oh, baby. There are some juicy matchups with the Commanders that I can't wait. This has potential to be what, at least for entertainment purposes, it's gonna be a good one. Shane always looks like he's having Vietnam flashbacks, and I don't see what the Commanders are going to do to stop the run. We're going to get into that very soon. But just to piggyback off of this rushing attack, man, and this offensive line, it's not like Tampa Bay was like some cupcake run defense too. Like they held opponents to 41 and 67 rushing yards respectively the first 2 weeks. Swift became only the fourth Eagles running back with 130 rushing yards in consecutive games since 1970. Like this dude didn't play at all basically in the second half in week 3. He got 1 carry in week 1. And DeAndre Swift leads the NFL with 250 total yards before contact. He's averaging 5.6 yards before contact per attempt, which is number 1 in the league with guys with 40 or more attempts. I just thought the zone blocking between, especially on the interior with Dickerson and Kelsey, and even Juergens had some really nice passes.
Juergens had some good second level blocking. And I mean, the fact of the matter is right now he's second overall in rushing behind Christian McCaffrey, which, is a great name you want to be behind. And listen, I want to touch on the Gainwell hate because I was slightly a part of it. I have no problem second half giving Gainwell some carries. I think it stemmed from that fourth down. I think that was the incorrect usage at that time. I think clearly Swift was getting 5, 6, 7 yards a pop. Like, why would you go away from that? That's the only thing that I didn't like. But absolutely. I keep Swift fresh. Keep Gainwell in there, get Penny involved eventually. I'm all for that for sure.
Miss Chris says we're very, very lucky with Swift. He was a wonderful gift to witness on the field, man. Very special things coming up for the Eagles. It's going to be a fun season. Real quick, before we get into the Commanders, though, we have to talk about the Eagles defense. They were just absolutely dominant. The Eagles limited the Bucs to only 174 yards on 44 offensive plays, 4 punts, 2 takeaways. The run defense for the Eagles has just been a 180 between last year and this year, man. They are elite as it gets. They've only given up through 3 games, 104 rushing yards. That's the best in the NFL. 0 touchdowns allowed on the ground, tied for best in the NFL. Only 5 rushing first downs, tied for best in the NFL, and 3.4 yards per attempt. That's tied for 6th best in the NFL. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Zach Cunningham filling holes. Jalen Carter taking on double teams. Like, he was a big piece of how Zach Cunningham had a free lane that got the safety for the Eagles. They're just blowing up opposing backfields, man. There are no words to describe how, as great as they are running the football, they're just as good as they are defending the run. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's certainly not something I think that we're, as Eagles fans, kind of used to. We've always seemed to struggle in the run defense. Lately, obviously last year when we brought in some help, but yeah, listen, that interior defensive line is absolutely elite. Jalen Carter. Listen, you may see, the thing is, I know there's a lot of fans out there that it's really easy to tell when you have a great defense. 70 sacks, turnovers, this, that, and the other. But they're not necessarily doing that right now. And that's okay. Yes, we'd love to see more sacks. Yes, all that. But the pressures, the hits, the hurries are all through the roof. The double teams on Carter and Davis, the fact that they have barely played in this NFL and they are being treated like they are elite all-pro level players, which they clearly seem to be playing at, is astonishing. And you're not going to see it on the stat sheets, but they are being super effective, especially in the run game. No one can run against us. Honestly, I think, maybe there was like 2 or 3 plays. If you take out those 2 or 3 plays that, the rush defense is even better because there was like a 7-yard, 8-yard kind of thing. But Yeah, they are just absolutely firing. And that defensive line is absolutely saving a lot of this season early on, and really is the key to us being 3-0.
Yep. Jalen Carter has been nothing short of terrific. I go back to the days of our draft coverage, man. There was probably a good chunk of like a month or two where all this stuff came out on Jalen Carter. I did not waver a single second. He was my number one guy on the draft board. This isn't anything we haven't seen during his days from Georgia. His twitch, his just man among boys kind of like vibe about him. It's translated more than 100%. Like he is every bit dominant on that football field. On Monday, he finished with 5 pressures, 2 tackles, a quarterback hit, a forced fumble, and a half a sack, man. Only 2 players in the NFL right now have 15 pressures and 2 forced fumbles this season. That is TJ Watt and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is now tied for 4th best among defensive tackles in the entire league with a 24% pass rush win rate. He ranks 7th in pressure percentage among 195 qualified pass rushers. And I don't know, man, but that's all pro level shit, man. This guy came into the season wanting to be defensive rookie of the year. He's going to be an all pro. That if this continues, and he's only playing 45% of the snaps. Excuse my language.
Yeah, no, and that is the again, we have preached this. That is the beauty of this defensive line, is the fact that there are so many players that can come in and play and be effective. Fletcher Cox, let's give that man some credit. Over 3 games, he has played really well. And again, it's early in the season, so maybe that's what's part of it. But maybe he's being a little invigorated with the youth that's in that interior defensive line, and he's certainly playing well. Jordan Davis is an absolute monster. I mean, listen, the defense as a whole is getting forced fumbles like it's Taco Tuesday. Everybody's getting one, and so it's absolutely insane to see. It's just sometimes it's a little difficult to kind of view this defense because we're not getting those sacks, and we were so hype about that last year, and we have that such high expectations, and we're not seeing it. And Reddick hasn't had a sack, and all these couple other things that you can nitpick and want to be negative towards. Don't look at this defense as a whole, and they are absolutely playing at an elite level, and they are 100%. While the reason why we're 3-0. And while the offense is still kind of figuring themselves out, listen, they have their moments, and Jalen's getting there, and AJ Brown is whatever, all that stuff. They're figuring it out, and that's okay. Sometimes that takes a little bit to get on that same page. So while they do that, that defense is absolutely lifting up this team and dominating every team across the board.
Absolutely. Patrick says the holes that O-line was creating for DeAndre Swift was huge. 2 of the 7 plays that Swift converted for first downs were 26 yards and 29 yards. My man Quentin's in the house.
Quentin, get out of here, buddy. Come on.
Every week, man. I love it. Let's jump into our Commanders preview. Do you have any other top takeaways before we jump into the bulk of the show?
No, I just man, I'm just happy, man. I'm happy 3-0, and anybody who isn't have a big smile on their face right now, just let the negativity go. Like not every a great team has to look a certain way. We don't have to put 70 points on the board. A win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter how it happens, as long as you're moving forward and improving as you can. And that's what this team is doing. And that's what's scary. They haven't played their best overall game. They haven't played a full 60 minutes. God forbid the league finds us playing full 60 minutes.
Yeah. Again, like we haven't even gotten an A or B game from Jalen Hurts. They won 25-11 against the Bucs. That anybody who watched that game, that was an ass kicking. That was a straight up ass. You could have easily added 2 touchdowns to that. It wouldn't have made a difference. Minus some red zone offensive issues, like I'm good, man. They are definitely improving week to week, which is all you want to see. That being said, let's jump into our Commanders preview and talk about top matchups to watch. night, guys. Eagles take on the Commanders at a 1 o'clock game, Ryan, for all our old heads out there. We only get 3 of them this season, and I'm going to enjoy it because I love me some 1 o'clock Sunday games. That's when football should be played. I hate these night games, man.
Amen.
They kill me.
Amen.
I'm
Right?
so excited.
Too old to stay up that late after a day of watching football. Exactly. I'm too old, especially if I'm down there at tailgating and all that. It's too much. I can't do it. Give me 1 o'clock. I don't mind getting up super early and going to bed super early.
Absolutely. Some comments real quick. Crabby old man says, "Word to the Young Bucks. I'm 64. There has never been football like this in my lifetime, except for the 60 champs. But I was 2. Given what the Sixers have done under Josh Harris, I'm not scared of any team he owns." So let's jump into our top matchups to watch here against the Washington Commanders. I'm going to throw it to Shane, and let's hear what his top matchup is against the Commanders.
My top matchup to watch on Sunday in the Eagles game against the Commanders is the Eagles pass rush against that Washington offensive line. This Washington offensive line is not very good. So far this year, they rank 26th in pass rush win rate at 35%. Only on 35% of dropbacks does everyone on the offensive line sustain their block for 2.5 seconds. Now, they've got some good pieces. Charles Leno is having a good year at left tackle. Sam Cosmi is having a good year at right guard. Those 2 guys together have combined to allow only 1 sack and 8 pressures while accumulating 2 penalties. Unfortunately, they don't play by each other where you can just stick tight ends on the other side and help out a struggling side of the offensive line there. It's a left tackle and a right guard. The other 3 starters, left guard Shaquille Charles, center Nick Gates, and right tackle Andrew Wiley have combined to allow 9 sacks, 23 pressures, and 3 penalties through 3 games. Last week, the Buffalo Bills were able to harass Sam Howell mercilessly. He was pressured on 69% of his dropbacks, which is the highest rate charted in the next-gen stats era that dates back to 2016. He was pressured 69% of his dropbacks. He was also sacked 9 times. He was intercepted 4 times. And this is against a team in the Buffalo Bills who don't have nearly the pass rush that the Eagles do. Last year in Week 4, the Eagles played Washington, and they sacked Carson Wentz 9 times. Give me the Eagles pass rush to do it again, this time to Sam Howell.
It's got to be absolutely spot on by Shane, as always, man. But the Eagles pass rush against this Washington offensive line, Hassan Reddick, Jalen Carter, you name it, Brandon Graham, they're going to be licking their chops Sunday at 1 o'clock, man. The Commanders' offensive line is the weakest link here. As Shane said, Howell was sacked 9 times. He was hit another 15 times. 7 different Bills defenders generated 4 more pressures. Washington has now given up 19 sacks through 3 games. That's the most of any team in almost 20 years. The Commanders are tied with the 2005 Texans for the most allowed during a 3-game span. And that's the 5th most sacks allowed through 3 games since 1982. Sam Howell, he's the most sacked quarterback this season, of course. He's on track to be the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. The current record is 76 sacks against 16 games in 2022, held by David Carr, man. Sam Howell has had 4 interceptions against the Bills, but he's had 0 protection. The Commanders' O-line is mediocre in run blocking, but absolutely terrible in pass protection. Andrew Wiley, as Shane mentioned, is one of the biggest culprits there. He's given up 3 sacks and 8 pressures on 138 pass blocking snaps through 3 games, man. This is the game the Eagles pass rush gets home and makes life a living hell for Sam Howell.
Yeah, listen, it was yesterday was, I got the little notification that I was had the 1-year anniversary of the Washington game last year, where we did get those 9 sacks last year against Carson. And, that was the 3rd game of the year. And, we had maybe 3 sacks total going into that game. So, again, this could be that catalyst game where, again, we haven't really been seeing the sacks. We've only been getting a few here and there. Maybe this is that breakout game where we can get to Hal clearly, as you said, that offensive line is so weak right now, and Hal seems very susceptible to being sacked, as you mentioned. So maybe this is that game where Hassan Reddick gets himself off the schneid and gets a couple, and a couple other guys, kind of get involved, and we break out, and that kind of, this is that game last year that really kind of helped to get us going to get those sacks. Certainly later on in the year we had like 6, 7 per game in like a 5-6 game stretch. But outside of that, this was the game. So listen, I'm all for that. Let's get to Hal. Let's get him quick. Let's get him early. Let's get him pressured. I know we're gonna get him pressured. I know we're gonna get him hurried. Let's get him down on the ground. Get a couple sacks here early and see what that does to this Redskins offense.
Yeah. Crabby Old Man says the Commanders will flame out in the first round every year, just like the Sixers. Ouch.
Oh, wow. Flame out in the second round, thank you.
Yeah. AJP says Sam Howell is a sack magnet. If there's a game for Hassan Reddick to break out, this is it. I absolutely agree. NFL Reality checks in the house. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining. I'm convinced the Eagles will soon have to get a get-right game in which every face clicks. This could be that game. Each of the last two has gotten better, absolutely. And Brandon Graham has had a decent game against the Bucs as well. I agree. And Brandon Graham coming off that right side against Andrew Wiley could be really fun to watch. The Eagles are not going to get 70 sacks in 2023. That was just a special season. But forgive me, this might be a homer take, but I think this pass rush is equally as good because they're deeper and they're more balanced with the guys that they rotate and things like that. Like we were concerned about replacing a Javon Hargrave. We talked about all the off the field issues or concerns about Jalen Carter. We talked about Jordan Davis and what to expect. Like they're exceeding expectations above and beyond anything. I mean, even for me, like I thought Jalen Carter was the best prospect in the draft, bar none. And even I didn't expect this turnout.
No. I mean, listen. Yeah, I mean, it's a rookie defensive tackle. Like that's just not something that has this large of an impact this quickly. And you're coming off of a guy who was a Pro Bowl caliber in Hargrave, and you now have this ultimate rotation of with Cox and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and they are all just firing at all cylinders right now, and I absolutely love it. I'm all here for it. And listen, I love Javon Hargrave. I think he was great for the Eagles while he was here, but the loss of him right now doesn't really seem so bad.
Absolutely not. That Brandon Graham, man, I love him too, Miss Chris. Like that's going to be a sad day. Like Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, when they hang it up, man, that's going to be awesome. Javon, Jalen Carter's a grown ass rhino. All right. Another matchup to watch. Do you want to talk about your matchup to watch? I have a few others.
Honestly, I kind of forget did I even say anything? I don't even know.
All right, I'll go. All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Jalen Hurts versus this Commanders defense. That's a big one to watch. The Commanders defense has given up 35 points per game the last 2 weeks. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense had 7 plays of 24 yards or more against the Bucs, while on the other end, the Commanders defense has given up 11 explosive plays to the Bills on Sunday. They gave up passes of 35, 30, 30, and 20. They gave up rushes on the ground of 34, 23, 13, 10, and 10, and 10. Josh Allen had a few big runs on the ground. I just think, people panicking about the Eagles are just silly because the Eagles have the 7th best point differential in the NFL after 3 weeks. As we said earlier, Jalen Hurts has not given us an A game. He's not even given us a B game. The Commanders defense gives up the 6th most yards per carry in the NFL. It's just going to be a long day for the Commanders. Like where they're weak and we're strong, this has all the makings of a really big Eagles victory. Any comments on that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, and listen, they're the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them nowadays. Which I don't know if you heard, they're actually getting sued um, because there's a group of Native Americans that actually want them to go back to the Redskin name
Huh, okay.
um, because of the logo that was they're honored. One of their chiefs, and again, it was so there is a facet right now that's trying to get that back, but I
Interesting.
just randomly read that the other day. But anyway, yeah, listen, their defensive backfield and their linebackers aren't the greatest. I mean, listen, you have a young player in Emmanuel Forbes. You have Cameron Curl, who's certainly rising up the ranks as a safety, but they don't really have a linebacker really to speak of. Cody Barton, Jamin Davis. I mean, they're all right guys, but really the defense for the Commanders is in that front four. And let's be honest, Sweat, Payne, Allen, Young, they're great names, but they have not been playing well. They've been underperforming very, very poorly. So, yeah, I'd really like to see how Hurts kind of, plays with this. And, I think this might be one of those Devonta Smith games. He was pretty
Right.
quiet, only had 4 catches. Brown got all the glory, got his, again after the sideline spat, so to speak. And yeah, I think this is one of those where man, Devonta is going to go off on this defense, and let I think we might get I'm hoping we get at least a B game from Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I'm not even upset about Jalen Hurts. Like if you look beyond the stats, I like that throw he made to Zacchaeus, like that was an amazing. I've been just so impressed by his poise, his patience, his confidence inside the pocket.
Mhm.
2021 Jalen Hurts would have sprinted out of that pocket so quickly. And Jalen Hurts stood there. He waited for the play to develop. He trusted his receiver and took a shot, delivered a ball on a dime. Like when you rewatch that play, like that ball was perfect. I thought that was intercepted the second
Yeah.
that was released.
Dude,
Did
it
you?
it just got over the defense, but it was perfect because you got to give Zacchaeus great credit too because he saw what was happening and he started fading off of the defender. While the defender kind of was going more of a beeline towards the sidelines. He kind of curved it a little bit towards the end zone and man, that was absolutely perfect. What a great throw!
I've also really liked how Hurts has handled the blitz so far through 3 games. It's like the last 2 weeks have been outstanding. Obviously, the offensive line struggled in week one, but Brian Johnson deserves a shout out because it's been getting better. I like how the what am I trying to say? His ability to know where AJ Brown is, like under pressure, that's gotten better and better and better. So for me, that's the takeaway. The stats don't look necessarily great, but there are flashes of Hurts and improving against the blitz, improving his poise inside the pocket. That's what I'm liking.
Yeah.
Joseph says, I think Swift will have another big game on Sunday.
Ah,
Uh, yeah. Joseph says, we have a new OC people need to relax. We are 3-0. We have Ryan Swope in the house. What's going on? Thanks for joining. Love Jalen Carter. What a beast.
absolutely.
Jalen Hurts through Oz Open. Brilliant improvised play. I completely agree. Jalen Hurts has improved against the blitz this week. Not Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. Please blitz me so I can get a TD. But it's been good, man. Listen,
Listen,
yeah, go ahead.
improvement. That's that. Like again, that's all we really should be hopeful for, and
Right.
we're seeing it across the board. It's not just one player here, one player there. Again, you mentioned it perfectly. The offensive line struggled week one. What have they done since then? Oh well, you literally can drive an 18-wheeler. What do they call that? Where they have 100 18 wheelers, like a brigade on the roads or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but but you could absolutely, run anything through them. They have been amazing. They've been protecting Hurts. They've been doing better, and again, improving each week. Hurts improving each week.
Yep.
AJ Brown, you see him again. He's getting used to Brian Johnson. Same with Hurts. Brian Johnson has been improving. This defensive, line has been improving each week. Again, that's all you really want to see is improvement across the board. And I don't see where there's a spot where you're going, man, this particular player or this particular, group of players aren't pulling their weight or aren't improving or aren't getting towards that goal. I think across the board, we all are. And that's exactly what you want to see.
Yep. Ryan says, I absolutely love the balance on offense. The play calling of the run-pass ratio has been exciting. They need to keep up the balance. It pumps me up seeing the balance. I want to keep seeing more even pass run ratios or very close.
Great.
Brian, I truly think it's going to depend on the week. That's just really what it is. Brian Johnson went up against three pretty tough defensive coordinators to start the season. We'll see. He's going to get a break here against Washington because that Washington defensive line, they do have 10 sacks on the season, but they have not been as dominant as they have been in the past. They could not get to Josh Allen last week at all during his 32 pass attempts. The Washington Commanders only registered one quarterback hit against the Bills. Josh Allen's mobility really gave the Washington Commanders some challenges there, and containing Jalen Hurts, man, has all the makings of a potential disaster, man. This is a defensive line and a front seven that really struggles to contain quarterbacks, man, and force turnovers. And if that's really what this comes down to, if the Washington Commanders can't kind of get into the brain of Jalen Hurts, like this has all the makings for a really long Sunday for the Washington Commanders. I just don't see how they counter this Eagles dominant zone run blocking scheme and the way this Eagles O-line is performing off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, as Ryan said, they have been beautifully balanced so far, and again, I think that's also what's certainly helping them is the fact that you can take your shot down the field and get yourself a 20-yard passing play, but you can also get a 10-yard rush from Swift. So, again, I absolutely love the balance, and I hope that it continues too. But you're right; obviously every game is situational, and you never know. You could be up a lot, you could be down and needing the pass, but hopefully they try to continue that as much as they can because I think a more balanced attack, especially when you have the players that we do. We have the skill positions needed to dominate in both fashions. So that's just going to be nightmares for defenders throughout the league. What are we going to do? Are we going to defend the pass? Are we going to defend the run? They could just do it all.
Yep. Top Shelf Sports Talk says Nolan Smith had pressure. It sucks that
I'm so close.
David's not here. It sucks that David's there. He's his biggest fan. He loves him some Nolan Smith. And he had, 3 snaps, I think, and got a quarterback hit.
That's pretty good.
Quarterback hit, and it was a good one.
Yeah, we need to see more Nolan Smith, though. That's for sure.
I agree. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But that's kind of if you're watching this show, like we kind of expected this.
Yeah,
he's going to get that. He's hopefully like Jalen Carter, like those snaps ramp up as the season progresses.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson is that spot for me now. Joseph says we are improving each week. That is all we should want to see. I see Jalen Hurts having a big game on Sunday. And AJP says, I think Nolan Smith is a guy who isn't going to win snaps at practice because he doesn't have the skill set to beat NFL linemen one-on-one yet, but they could use him like they did at Georgia. I agree, man. So does Joseph. He wants to see more Nolan Smith.
Yeah, who doesn't?
He is raw. Like, make no mistake. He is raw. And I maybe we'll see. But more than likely, we'll probably see him kind of get that Jordan Davis treatment where next year he'll go from it's got to be less than 2% of the snaps right now, or if anything. So in the 40s. probably when Brandon Graham retires or something along those.
Yeah, I could definitely see that going the Jordan Davis route for sure. But yeah, listen, I'm perfectly fine with getting him in there, getting some snaps. But yeah, obviously we want to see him a little bit more. But yeah, let's slowly ramp him up and let him loose and let him figure it out. I mean, this is a perfect year to kind of let him come in and get his feet wet, get the speed of the game, and yeah, let's do it.
All right. Ryan says that TD throw to Zacchaeus was remarkable. Reading ahead where he would end up before releasing it as he was being hit. I put a short about that just now on the channel, man. All 22. And the angle that Hurts hits Oz is awesome. It's so awesome, man. Just be sure to go check that out. Quentin says, I think Mayfield was wincing after the Nolan hit. Yeah. Nolan's going to be good, man. He's going to be good. He's going to be good. All right. Any other matchups to watch before we get into player of the game and score predictions?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious how how the running game is going to do against that front four for sure, and I actually vice versa, how we're going to do against their running game, because they have two very capable backs, and so certainly so do we. So I think overall the running game is something I'm certainly going to be paying attention to on both sides of the ball. Obviously, we've been playing super well and really shutting down the run, and yeah, I'm hoping that we can have a nice field day. But again, like you said, you have a very decent front four for Washington, and while they may not be performing up to the level that many expect them to, they certainly have that ability, and they have the capability to put together that game. And listen, it's a rivalry game, it's a division game. You never know when that game is going to happen. So let's just pray it's not Sunday, and we can run wild again.
Love it, man. All right, it is time for Eagles versus Commanders predictions. Let's get it. All right, time to, I guess, put our money where the mouth about that. No, that didn't work out at all. Put our money where the mouth is. Does that even make sense? I don't even know.
Our mouth is?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm too tired right now.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, right.
Week 3. Let's get into our player of the week predictions. Ryan, you had Devontae Smith, who ended up with 4 receptions and 28 yards. David took A.J. Brown, who had 9 receptions and 131 yards. What's up, Shane?
What's up, guys? Hey, Ryan.
What's
going on, man? Shane, you had Dallas Goedert, who ended with 5 receptions and 41 yards. And I had Jalen Carter, who ended up with 0.5 sacks and a forced fumble. Who do you think was player of the game?
It's got to be A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I think it's A.J. Brown. I think I'm last for sure. So,
yeah, I'd say Brown, Carter, Goedert, Smith.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, so we're going to go Brown, number 1. So David gets 4 points.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys obviously need to catch up to me. So
Brown, Carter is number 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 3 would go to Goedert, and that is Shane. And then Ryan, you get 1. Hey, it's getting closer. It's getting a little bit closer there.
You guys are coming back.
I'm pretty sure that through 3 weeks, what we've established is whoever I pick will not have a good game.
All right, let's jump into our player of the week predictions. Shane, lead us off. Go ahead, man.
Give me DeAndre Swift. I mean, I don't know how you pick somebody different if you're going for the offense at this point in time. You could make an argument as bad as I almost said the old name. As bad as the Commanders' offensive line has been, you could make an argument for any of the defensive linemen, but it just comes down to who gets the sacks. So give me DeAndre Swift.
It's a great pick, man. I love that pick so much. That's good money right there. Ryan, who is your player of the week prediction?
So, listen, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this might shock some people, but I'm going with Devonta Smith. I'm riding it. He took a game off. He's going back on that train. Going to win me another 4 points, baby.
That's hilarious. All right, I need to get David's, but he's not here, so unfortunately,
we'll add it later. He can write.
We'll just add it later.
He texted me and said that his player of the game was going to be Christian Ellis.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
I thought you were going to say Aaron Sipas.
Nobody picked Jalen Hurts last week, which is really interesting.
I mean, listen, after the first two performances, I mean, again, I think it's one of those things where, like, hey, we're winning, but we're not winning flashy with Hurts. He's being efficient and getting the job done. So it's easy for a quarterback to win this award, but again, if you're playing, not very stat friendly, it's hard to win.
I really want to take a defensive lineman. I really want to keep that train rolling.
Well, and last week, my whole argument is I was the last pick last week, and the reason I didn't pick Hurts was because it's hard when his top two receiving options are picked. Like if he's got a good game, one of them had a great game, so I went with Goddard instead. And never again am I picking Dallas Goedert for player of the game.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm gonna do it, man. Just give me Jalen Carter. I'm gonna keep it rolling. He's been so dominant against a weak Washington Commanders offensive line. I like that pick. My man Ryan said Jalen Carter's better than Jerome Brown. Not comparing the two, just saying he will be better. He's certainly on that trajectory. Hassan Reddick would be a good choice too. This would be the game that perhaps he
breaks out,
destroys.
4 sacks, maybe 4 sacks for Hassan Reddick.
Michael saying Hassan Reddick will have the breakout game. Joseph's right there with you, man. Carter with 3 sacks, that'd be insane.
If Carter gets 3 sacks, you are gonna explode live on air next week.
Yeah. Quentin says Hurts, he's less rusty. Let's do this. Score predictions. Ryan, who gets the W?
Eagles, obviously. They're not losing to the Commanders. I'm going to go 31-18.
All right, 31-18 for Ryan. What about you, Shane?
I was trying to look up really quickly what the splits are. I know last year they split with the Commanders. Looks like the year before they swept the Commanders, and the year before they got swept by the Commanders. So we'll see which way this goes. You think that the Eagles don't remember Washington coming into Philadelphia last year and handing the Eagles a loss?
Yeah.
Like, they remember. This is a revenge game for the Eagles. I just think there's so many good matchups here. Sam Howell may get sacked 12 times. Eagles 38, Commanders 13.
And the way they lost too, like
yes.
on such a BS call, and the way that he's so inconsequential. I don't even remember his name, the quarterback. How he got up and
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, thank you. He literally celebrated like he won the Super Bowl. Like you got hit late because you were kind of a, I'm not going to use the word on air, but you were a wuss, and you knelt down when nobody thought you were. So that they absolutely remember that, and they want that bad. It may not be Heineke, so God bless Sam Howell. He's going to take the brunt of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking big too, Shane. This is one of those games I want to see the Eagles take out the Commanders early from the jump. The Commanders have had really slow starts on offense through 3 games. They've only got 26 points scored in the first half. This is a team that entered halftime down 16-0 against the Bills last week. I'm looking for the Eagles to just put this team away. And if you can make Sam Howell into a one-dimensional passing quarterback, that's where we're going to see a lot of turnovers. That's where we're going to see Jalen Carter licking his chops and Hassan Reddick accumulating some astronomical sack numbers. So for me, I'm going to go Eagles get the W in this one. I'm going big. I just don't see any way this is even remotely close. This is probably a 3-score game, like Shane did. I'll go a little higher. I'm going to go Eagles 41, Redskins 17. Commanders 17, and with some garbage touchdowns there at the end. This is going to be a blowout.
If this was not a division game, I would feel really confident in a huge spread like that. Because it's a division game, weird things happen, and I also question if the Eagles will ever blow anyone out, if they can just get a 2-score lead and then take 10 minutes off the clock running the ball. So I don't know. I don't know if they can get to 38 like I picked, to 41 like you. I mean, they could. I don't know if they will like you and I picked, because they might just sit on the ball, but we'll see.
Yeah. Clive says Eagles win 71-20. I love the 71.
Yeah, 71. I love it.
Hey, at that point, you might as well go for 73 in the record, right?
Right.
The record 72.
Love it.
I think so, yeah.
All right. That wraps it up. Plugs, I'll throw it to you, Shane. What do you got going on? Where can we find you, man?
Yeah, you can check me out on Twitter and YouTube at Shane Half NFL. Chalk Talk is going to be happening tomorrow. Mark and I had to reschedule a little bit, so we're going to do it tomorrow, afternoon. But we'll have that up on podcasting platforms. It'll live stream on YouTube. Normally, we'll be on Tuesday nights, and I'll hopefully have some All 22 stuff coming out tomorrow. Normally, I get out the Eagles passing game review on Tuesday, but with the Monday night game, Game Pass still didn't have the All 22 as of this afternoon. So hopefully it'll be up first thing in the morning and I can dive into that.
All right. He is at Shane Half on Twitter. Make sure you go follow him. Does an amazing job if you love Eagles and general NFL. Shane or Ryan, where can we find him, man? Final thoughts.
Yeah, listen, to all those out there that are nitpicking a 3-0 start, stop. Just be happy. Not every season's going to be the same. We're not going to score 70 points like the Dolphins. It's not all going to look pretty, but win is a win. It's all you need. So be happy, folks. As far as me, you can always check me out at Philly Sports Alliance on all social media platforms. Check me out here on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Monday kind of threw our schedule off, obviously, with the game. So we're back to the normal schedule next week. Monday with the Football Smack Talk show. And, of course, Dibes and I doing our NFL Draft Prospect Weekly College show, where we go over all of the college games from the past weekend and talk about the upcoming games. Obviously, Tuesday nights, you got to check us out. David will be back with us next week because he thoroughly enjoyed himself in Tampa Bay. That bastard didn't invite us. But yeah, and then, of course, Wednesdays, Party on Broad as well. But, yeah, check out Facebook. That's the best place. Philly Sports Alliance. You get all of the Philly Sports Alliance shows. You get all of the Edge of Philly Sports shows. Also, make sure that you're checking out this Sunday's pre, half, and post-game shows. I'll be down there tailgating. We're going to give attempt number 2 at talking to some people. We had some technical difficulties last week, but we'll get them figured out. So yeah, I'll be manning the streets, talking to the people, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So check us out.
All right, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on Twitter. Party on Broads tomorrow. Talking more Eagles, of course. Eagles versus Commanders preview, all that fun stuff. Ryan, I didn't tell you this, but next Monday we are holding a crossover show with another YouTube channel. Ooh. On college football and the NFL draft. So be on the lookout for that.
Sweet.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll talk to you after the show about that. And no Killing Me Smalls. I produce Killing Me Smalls, for this. But next week, Sean Bernard of Pick Swap Media will be joining us, and we'll be doing a Giants Sixers preview. That'll be going down next Wednesday at 5. And then, of course, our BGN radio show will be dropping tomorrow as well, talking top Eagles draft targets and everything college football. So he is Shane, at Shane Half one more time, at Shane Half NFL on Twitter, at Philly Sports PSA for Shane, for Ryan, for myself. Stay awesome, everyone.